Entering college is an exciting phase of any student's educational journey. It's the first opportunity that many have to express their independence both in thought and activity and determine what sort of identity they want to have. For students with disabilities, creating an inclusive pathway forward to access a college education is vitally important for their growth and development. For St. Clair College, ensuring the success of students with disabilities is a vital pillar of their academic and action plan for success for all students of all abilities. And Ryan Peebles serves as the executive director of the Students Representative Council for the college, and he joined me today on the Speak Up podcast to discuss everything parents and students with disabilities need to know as they consider a post-secondary future at St. Clair College. And my conversation with Peebles starts right now. Ryan, if you're ready, my friend, I'll welcome you to the Speak Up podcast. And I'm super excited to learn about college life at St. Clair College. Great to see you this morning, my friend, and thank you for a few minutes.
You're most welcome, Kevin. Thank you for asking me.
Absolutely, my friend. So I wanted to start our conversation by asking you about the academic and recreational supports that are available for any students with disabilities who may be thinking about attending St. Clair College. What can you share there, my friend?
So, talking with a couple of our individuals, I had some sessions with some student services department individuals this week, and we talked about one of those questions. And part of this accessible services that we here have at St. Clair, including the student council, include accommodation planning. We have counseling support. We have different services and learning strategists that assist with our individual students. We have also service assistive technologists that are on campus and there. We also have accommodated testing services. We have deaf and interpreting services, and we also have access to a bunch of services that students have with tutoring, library services, Indigenous services. And then when it comes to recreational supports, we don't have any specifically. I guess it's a case-by-case scenario. But again, when they access services through SRC or SSA, our athletic side, we try to ensure that a lot of our events are inclusive of all, especially at the student council side. So a lot of our student life events that we have, we try to ensure that they're accessible to everybody. We try to eliminate barriers when that comes to those things. Whether it's our frosh concerts or our therapy dogs, or we do a lot of arts and crafts or your trivia nights. We try to ensure that those stuff are kind of removing those barriers. And then we try to, again, case by case scenario. So if we cross something that we don't have or haven't done, we learn by our mistakes and we try to embed it so for future events, it's actually kind of fixed by then. So this week alone, our disability services held a bunch of accessibility sessions to ensure that faculty are aware of the supports for students as well as staff on campus to help address those issues as we go forward.
Absolutely. And Ryan, tell me, what sort of information does the college require in order to best support students with disabilities?
We encourage the students to self-identify to themselves to our offices, our student services to help us support. We encourage them to support us by providing some documentation. That way we can help when they request for accommodation plans. So they try to meet with a counselor upstairs in our Learning Commons or our student services department to develop that accommodation plan. And then once we get those identifiable needs, the college can help provide supports and services to all students with disabilities, both a temporary and or a permanent support. And then if they have valid supporting documentation, that really helps encourage us to push forward with those supports. But there's also interim accommodation requests that are received in good faith, and then we can provide those supports pending documentation if needed. So if it's something that's just a short-term stint, or it's just like a one-off, those supports are obviously there, and we help try to support those students as necessary. We don't ever like to see a student turned away or disadvantaged. We try to ensure their success here. And that's part of our role here at the Student Council is to ensure that those students are heard and their voices are met with good support and to ensure that student services can provide the best success for our students in the future.
Yeah, and for any high school seniors or high school students who are thinking about attending a college in the fall, I'm curious to ask you what sort of information or advice would you give to high school students and their parents as they're thinking about attempting this college application and college life process, my friend? What sort of advice would you give to them?
So a lot of our students that come from a high school typically would have an IEP or an education plan coming from high school. We encourage them to bring those back to us with the college to help us address it that way. We can help adapt to their upcoming application. Even prior to applying, come to college, come take a walk around at our open house, see what kind of avenues you might kind of go through if you have any issues or any concerns with applying, for example. We can definitely sit down and apply with you or help you apply via the application. Or we have definitely have some great supports here for technologies that can, I mean, even screen readers, immersive readers, text to speech, speech to text to assist with those students that need those assistance. And students in our student services area, they'll definitely assist as well to help apply. Again, if they're coming from a high school, just know that we may not have crossed that disability or accessibility issue yet. So just be mindful and help us learn, educate us as we educate you at the same time. Because at the end of the day, we're here to assist you and ensure that you guys are successful in your career, or at least educate you to get that career. So if there's any word of advice is just hopefully be patient with us. So if we are not up to par, help us educate us so we can get to that level, and that way we can better ourselves. I know, Kevin, when you started school years ago, I don't think the accessibility at campus was at to the level of what we needed to get to, and you assisted us wholeheartedly to get to that level where we could support you and future students.
Well, thank you, my friend. And I'm curious, uh, uh, when should a college or when should a high school student and their parents really think about beginning the application process to attend St. Clair College?
So for oversubscribed or high-end programs, we try to get the students to apply prior to February 1 because that's the equal consideration deadline for a lot of our oversubscribed or like high attended programs. But when it comes to programs in general, they can apply anytime in the preceding year. So if they want to start in a January, a May, or a September, September's our major intake for students. So we try to get those faculty to or those students to apply to those programs at any time starting in the September prior. Um, Again, we have open houses usually in October and again in March. So if they didn't apply before the February 1st deadline, they can still come to our open house. We have one coming up March 23rd of this year, 2024 at all campuses where students can come take a walk through the programs. They can apply on site. They can learn about the scholarships and the accessible areas that they have, also the services available to them. But anytime throughout the year, they can apply. They can even apply up to the week of classes, as long as the program has open seats. Again, but when it comes to students with maybe accessible disability needs, they may want to apply earlier than normal so they can get those supports in place, but also to get over to our student services department so they can make that appointment with the counselor to get that accommodation plan and act, so that the faculty are aware ahead of time as well.
Absolutely. And Ryan, I'm wondering if you can explain the role and the function of the Student Representative Council, my friend.
So we have a very large role from anywhere from student life on campus to make sure students are having fun and inclusive on campus, but also to the point where they're representing students on different committees, whether it's accessibility, student code of rights. We are there for the active voice of students on campus to ensure that students are met with a strong voice on campus. We are the direct link between the students and college's senior administration. So if there's concerns or complaints, learning environment complaints, grade appeal supports, we offer legal support. So if we can't provide a direct answer and they have some employment issues or landlord tenant issues, we'll connect them with some legal support so that the students can better off in the community to get that support to maybe have some rights and responsibilities met. That's a good portion of it. We also manage and operate food services on campus. We have our esports nexus, which is our varsity esports program. And we also operate and maintain all the computer labs on campus. So all the open labs for students to use, that includes free printing and access to all the programs they need to ensure that they have access to computers when they need them. And that's
Yeah,
again a light version of what SRC does, but again, it varies. It goes from all over the campus to even in the community. We do community work. We have food banks on campus to ensure that students, if they're in the dire need of food, we do a toy and food drive every Christmas to ensure that families of students on campus have access to food and toys for their children. Again, anything that the students needs, they come through our student council office, and we've tried there to support, provide those services, whether it's a student service or it's a community service. We try to ensure that anything our students kind of need, we're there. If we can support it, we will.
yeah, absolutely. And Ryan, I know that you used to serve as the general manager of student residence at the college. So I'm curious if we can talk about student living on the campus
Sure.
of St. Clair College for students with disabilities and what that might look like, my friends.
Yeah, so at the residence, we have two residents. We have Quintenton Hall, which is our main residence. I say main because it's our long-standing residence, and that's for the one with the. And then we have also the Gem residence. I managed the Quintenton Hall for a number of years, and I know specifically there we have at least five suites on campus that are accessible or built for an accessible need. So, and in my stunt there, we did have a few individuals who had accessible needs that we met, and we adapt as necessary. So that could vary from having a bed or lights in the rooms that shake or flash if there's an individual that's hard of hearing or has a hearing impairment. We also try to ensure that we have braille on the signs and they're at the level where students can read them if there's an individual who is seeing impaired. But also, if there's an individual in a wheelchair, there's accessible areas and that in the suites as well. So there's five suites specifically with a larger shower for that. There's lifts in one of them. There's also some bars and assisted areas there. The toilets obviously are different heights. The sinks are at different levels. The accessible areas are very met. The light switches are lower. We try to ensure that those suites are met with that to ensure that we are able to assist or welcome a student with those needs. And if there is a student with an accommodated need that has applied and identified in their application, we invite them to come to a campus tour to ensure that we have a suite that would meet the needs of that student. And if we can, we will retrofit some of those suites to ensure that the student is met with some welcome opening arms. And it's not a deterrent for them to come stay on campus because we should ensure that student life on campus is fun and living on campus is even better. You get to experience the full-fledged atmosphere of students life on campus, and it kind of really helps you grow as an individual and gives you that independence, but not so much that you're left alone in your own apartment, your own house, but independence where you're part of a community, and that's very important when it comes to residents.
Yeah, absolutely. And right, I'm also curious to know whether there are funding options for students with disabilities who may need the financial supports to attend St. Clair College. What sort of funding supports are available, my friends?
Yeah, so some of the funding supports available for students are through scholarships. We have our bursaries. There's obviously OSAP funding. There's also bursaries for students with disabilities. One of the components there is the Ontario Student Assistance Program. When you apply for OSAP, they apply through that bursary program for the bursaries with disability students. That's there to, and it's intended to assist students in meeting additional costs of equipment, supplies that are directly related to a student's participation in post-secondary education. That these costs that might incur due to their disability when they're applying to college or being here at college. That there's some of those supports that we offer specifically directly related to disability services. But then above that, there's obviously regular scholarships and bursaries for all students to access while attending school. And then, as I mentioned, not just funding, but if students are finding it hard to meet the needs of seeing just eating, we have that college food bank available to them as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And Ryan, tell me from a college life perspective, how do you think students with disabilities can best be integrated into life on campus, and what can they expect when they attend St. Clair College?
Well, they can definitely expect to become independent and learn and grow. I mean, this is your first kind of step into to learning differently, and you're definitely expanding yourself into more of an adult field and becoming independent from yourself. You're learning to start your career. The best way I could say to immerse yourself is to be engaged, get involved. It could be whether it's a class rep program, it could be just getting involved in one of our college communities or clubs on campus. It could be involving yourself with student government or the athletic association. There's always opportunities for individuals to get involved, and I think that's the best way to immerse yourself is to get involved, join a community, join a club, whether it's a volunteer program or a community program that we offer through the student council. There's over 35 to 40 clubs that are academically based. We have different community based. We offer volunteer areas, charity programs, career service workshops. Again, there's really no means to no ends here. We anything that students essentially want to do, encourage them to talk to their student council, talk to their athletic association, talk to anybody. Tutoring services, for example. The colleges prides themselves on hiring students. So the student council itself hires just under 400 student employees. The athletic association hires students. So does the college itself, whether it's in marketing or library services, tutoring services, marketing to do tours. Just be willing to get involved. Don't hesitate. Come out and meet us at orientation, at our open houses. Introduce yourself, because we're all there to welcome everybody with open arms and ensure that student life is immersed into their daily activities.
Yeah, absolutely. And Ryan, I know that you have experience as a direct support professional, my friend, and I'm curious from both your personal and professional opinion, why is it important for high school students with disabilities to strongly consider a post-secondary education, and how do you think it can improve their quality of life?
I think in them considering a post-secondary education is just helping them educate themselves further. It provides them a different avenue of life. I think I say avenue of life, meaning different avenue of education. There's always great ways to learn and expand your mental capacity by learning. I think by joining a post-secondary institution, you're maybe focusing on a different avenue, whether it's culinary, it could be business, could be animation, could be graphics. The college has over 125 different programs that would suit anyone's needs or wants or learning capacities. It could be a full-time post-secondary program. It could be some con ed classes. Um, Always learning is always a good thing to do. Now, anyone coming to college doesn't have to take a full-time program. They could potentially look at going part-time. That may or may impact their disability OSAP bursary grants, but I think it's still a consideration, even if it's learning on a part-time basis. I think it just helps them become independent. By educating yourself and learning, it shows that you're willing to step out of that comfort zone and become part of that community. And know that the community here at St. Clair is open. We're willing to support you. We have those supports in place, and it kind of helps you soften yourself before entering the society of today. We have a great partnership with Transit Windsor. We offer a bus pass to our students at a very significant discounted rate. We're trying to work with transit so that we can better those services, and hopefully that'll include disability services and make them more accessible to our students, so that students with disabilities can rely on public transit to get around the city in an easier fashion.
Yeah, absolutely. And Ryan, I'm also curious to garner your message to parents who want their kids to sort of get the independent sort of experience, but maybe a little hesitant to let their kids take the leap and attend a post-secondary institution. So tell me, what would be your message to parents about letting their children take the leap to a post-secondary education?
I could give one parent some advice, or a parent some one piece of advice to letting their students go, is that St. Clair is a safe, very encompassing space. We, as a student council, the athletic association, the student leaders of here at St. Clair, even the college administration, staff, and faculty, we're all here to see the students succeed. We will support those students. It's okay to let them go here. They are safe. They are on campus with us. It's a great place for them to learn and grow. So I think one piece of advice would just have faith that we are here And they're not alone. And that's one piece of advice I think we would say is they're not alone. We have some great supports in all of our departments that to ensure that students are not alone, whether it's a mentorship program or a buddy program. The student services department here at St. Clair loves to ensure that students are partnered up and buddied with, and they have that mentor so that the student is going to succeed and thrive. And being at post-secondary, it's a lot of people think it's a bigger high school to some degree, and in maybe some sense it could be. But at the same time, it's also a one extra step before entering that real world society and providing them that support. We have some great supports here. There's no hesitation as to why they should not come to St. Clair. Again, even if it's a part-time class or just to start to enter into that real world, it's some good supports in place. And I can't emphasize more of the supports we have for our students to provide them to ensure that the parents feel okay leaving them. And if a parent wants to come for an open house, like I said, or even a personal tour, we have some great marketing individuals or brigades that will take the students and parents around to make them maybe feel more comfortable to see that the student can thrive here at St. Clair. Whether it's with a minor disability or a major disability, I think the students at the college or the college itself wants to ensure that students feel welcomed and that there should be no disadvantage to them coming to St. Clair.
Yeah, absolutely. Ryan, my final question for you this morning has to do with how do you think the college will continue to encourage the infusion of students with disabilities in all aspects of campus life, my friend? How do you foresee sort of the inclusion and the acceptance of students with disabilities continuing to foster at the college, my friend?
I think it's just by learning and growing. I mean, like I said earlier in our chat, it's by learning and growing as to what we have accomplished, what we can accomplish, but also learning from our peers, learning from our colleagues, learning from our community. We have an accessibility or students with disability committee that involves students, staff, faculty, student leaders, administration, and we do that usually monthly to quarterly to ensure that what are we missing, what things can we improve on, what can we jump in on. We also work with community stakeholders on how we can better our services on campus. We also ask community stakeholders to review our services. What are we missing? What is missing from allowing a student to come? Again, I mentioned earlier, if there's something that we don't have, help us get there, help us learn by our mistakes. We can only grow to be better by learning from what we have done or haven't done. Again, Kevin, when you came to campus, there were some avenues that I don't think the college has ever jumped on. And then working with you, it really opened our eyes here to better some of our buildings and make sure that they were accessible. I know even working from residents, walking over, putting ourselves in a student's shoes is very important. So what do we see that a student may, or what do we not see that a student may see, and learning from those and developing a better path forward.
Yeah, and I know, Ryan, the college has some great information about accessibility services on their website. So if someone wants more information, where can they go, my friend?
Well, they could definitely go to stclaircollege.ca. We do have a program called SOAR, which is the Student Orientation to Accessible Resources. That's on our website. It's a great website that goes into great detail with some great explanation of our services and how to access them. Again, there's also the Center for Academic Excellence that provides some great supports on accessibility requirements. It's also a great resource for our faculty to go to. And then obviously you can always visit the Student Services Department. You can also visit the Student Council office. Any one of our departments will definitely ensure that those students are successful. And also we would help guide them around campus. We would provide them those tours, the supports. Again, always our doors here at the Student Council office are always open to any new or current student to ensure that they want to, whatever they want to see, we try to get it to that level, but also provide them with a great opportunity to immerse themselves with college life.
Well, Ryan, it's always great to see you, my friend, and I want to thank you for the great information that you provided on college life at St. Clair College. It's a lot of great information that our families and parents can use as they continue on their educational journey, my friend. So I want to thank you for being a part of the Speak Up podcasting series and for being here this morning to engage in conversation. It's most appreciated.
Thank you, Kevin. It's always great to see you. Thank you for keeping doing the good work you do and ensuring that students' voices are heard, and also individuals with disabilities are met with some great supports. You're doing some great work, and I can't wait to see what you have in store for the future.